Blender for Noobs.
Hello, this is Dan Nobles, and welcome to Blender for Noobs, and welcome to part 8 of Project Omicron, the Omicron 3 spaceship. And in this part of the tutorial, part 8, what we're going to be doing is concentrating on these engine thruster things out to the side here. So let's go ahead and get started with that. If we look at our front view, one on the keyboard, and just choose Z to make this wireframe, you can see what I did on my original design is I made some kind of intake things here, and so that's kind of what we're going to mimic here on these thrusters. And the easiest thing to do here is to just kind of work on these by themselves without the ship being in the way. So a lot of times what I'll do is move this to a different level. So let's go ahead and move this to our different layer. I'll move it down this layer here. So choose M on the keyboard and just, while this is selected, choose M and then throw it into a different layer. And so when you go down to this layer, then here they are. Do a control up arrow, and another thing that I want to do is go to modifiers, and I'm going to turn off the mirror just so it don't display here, so that won't get in our way as well. So control up arrow, and here we are. So now we have our thruster here, so we can work on it as it is. And if we look at, go back here and look at our side view, Alt 3 it was, and Z. You can also see I had this kind of cutout thing here, which is kind of interesting. So we'll try to duplicate some of that. So go back here and Z. All right, so you can kind of be a little bit creative with this if you want to, just make it how you like, but if you want to follow along with what I'm doing as well, you can do that also. So what I'm going to do is tab into edit mode. I'm going to choose face view and go ahead and just grab this here. I think I actually want to grab all three of these. Do an I to extrude right on the face there, and then you can automatically scale it down however far you want. I'm going to go right about there. And then while that's selected, do an E, extrude, click off of it so you can get your manipulator here and just bring it back like so. And probably what I'll do, I'm not going to delete that. Could delete it, but I think I'll just leave it. Maybe scale it down a little bit. I might end up making that black so you don't really see what's going on in there. Don't want to cut it completely out because it's kind of, I don't want it to look like it's it's just intaking through the entire thing and it's empty or something. So then I'm going to go up here, choose these three faces, do the same thing, choose I, and just scale this down just a little bit. Why is it scaling that way? It's kind of weird. Okay, so once you scale it down, E extrude, and just bring it back the same way. And I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. Okay, so those are our two intakes we got, and this I guess you could call an outtake or really exhaust. So select all those, do another I, scale it down a little bit, N, E, and just go straight in like so. Scale it down. I'm going to go in a little bit further here. Let's see, I don't want to go too far. I don't want to get in the way of what's going to be, whatever's going to be here. Maybe right about there. Okay, something like that. And I may end up deleting those faces, but we'll see. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, remember this little thing here I created? I'm going to take all these faces, select them, X delete faces, open that up. Same thing here, just select these faces, X delete faces, and now we have this nice open area in our thruster. And I think what I also wanted to do, I don't know, I may or may not do it, but I think I wanted to make like an open area on the top as well. But anyway, we'll see what happens, how that goes. So what are we going to do here? And by the way, I think I'm getting like a cold or something, so sorry if I sound kind of weird, but anyway. So I'm doing a Shift A, and I'm just going to create a cylinder. And I'll leave it as the default 32 vertices and rotate along the X, R, X, 90, enter. Scale it down. Just going to bring it in here and just move it into place. Actually do a 7 top view with his wireframe on. Get it centered a little bit better. And move it into place here. And you can kind of do whatever you want here. I'm just going to grab this face and extrude. Maybe scale it down a bit. Extrude. Come over, extrude. Scale it back up. Extrude. Come out here. Extrude. Scale that down. Extrude. And starting to poke through there, but that's okay. We can fix that later. Come over here. And extrude. Scale it up, extrude, bring it forward, extrude, and just extruding and scaling basically to get kind of the look that I want here, which, you know, I don't have any particular thing in mind, but I have sort of a vague idea of what I want. And I see I'm getting in there, so we're gonna have to fix that. And then if you want to, you can do some interesting things like do a Control R and put it about right there, another Control R, bring it over here, another Control R, and another one. Put some edge loops in here, choose face view, come in here, Alt select in between these faces to select the loop, and I'm going to choose E, extrude, and then I'm going to scale along everything except for the Y, so S, Shift, Y, scale in, like so. Just can do the same thing over here. Extrude, click off of it, S, Shift, Y, and scale in a little bit, like so. Give it some interesting rings there. You can do that on other parts of the this whatever it is, and create some interesting looks. Another thing that I think we need to do probably would be a good idea to kind of close the top and bottom of this. I mean, if you get a shot like that where the ship is, you know, at that angle, you're going to see inside there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you have some things in here. And in fact, you may even want to duplicate this piece right here, and you know, you could make some smaller ones and put them down there or whatever. Or you can do what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to close it up by selecting these and choose F, make a face. Let's see, can I do all this at once? I'm not sure. I think I actually can. That would be a lot quicker than selecting each. Yeah, there we go. And that's not really doing it like I wanted to do it. It's not the correct way to do it. Let me back up. It will let you do that because Blender now supports N-gons, which is basically polygon without closing it in at the correct places. Easiest way I can explain it right now. But it's not always proper. It's kind of a quick and dirty way to do it, I think, but not always a proper way to do it, and it can cause you some problemos. And speaking of problemos, what did I just do? Something weird. I selected the wrong one. Okay, so I need that. That's that piece coming back. That's fine. Okay, so that's covered up. I'm going to keep this open, the front and back kind of open. And I need to cover this up as well. And just basically going through, making sure everything is nice and covered. And while I'm doing this, it's been a while since I've made some tutorials. Oops, screwed up again. So easy to select the wrong piece. And basically, I've just been really terribly busy doing other things. I've last year, at the end of last year, I've published 2 books, and now here in January I have a 3rd book coming out, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's a collection of my sci-fi short stories, and I'm publishing that through Amazon. If anybody's interested, on my website, blenderfornoobs.com, if you look at the About Me section, you can kind of look at that stuff if you want to. But finally getting my books published, which I've been kind of pursuing for a long time, so really excited about that. But also excited about getting back into doing some tutorials like this. So this is what I'm making, something sort of like that. And then what you can do, because this is kind of going into there, I'm going to do a Control-R edge loop and put one right up under there. And then I can choose vertex mode, choose Z, and I want to grab at least this vertex for now. Pull that up somewhat. And I don't want to pull that one up yet. We'll handle that a different way. But that's a way you can kind of fix that issue where it's kind of running into the geometry a little bit. Probably need to add maybe some more edge loops there. Yeah, not a big deal. Anyway, so got this weird piece thing now that looks like that. And another thing that I want to do, I'm going to do a Shift A and make another cylinder. In this case, I'm going to choose T. I don't need the cap fields at all. So I'm going to put nothing, so they're open. And do rotate it along the X, R, X 90 degrees, enter. Oops, no, I did not want to do that. Let me get rid of that. Let's start over. Shift A, create a cylinder. And before I do anything, I want to change the vertices to, let's do 8. That's probably fine, because this is going to be really small. So RX90, and scale it way down. Choose 7. I can bring it kind of where we can work with it here. Bring it down. Scale it way down. SY to scale on the Y. SY, scale it some more. Okay, bring it in here, scale it down. Okay, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to make some tubing with this. Now, what I normally do for tubing, a lot of times I will create a curve, and I'll use the curve for tubing because curves make excellent tubing. In case you've watched my some of my beginners tutorials, you'll see that I use that, and I like to use those because they're so fun to work with. But in this case, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to come over here. Let's see, we already used smooth overall, but it's, yeah. If you create more geometry in your edit mode, you'll notice that it doesn't automatically smooth it. So there's a couple things you can do. I think you probably just flat everything out and smooth everything again. But if you want to smooth specific things, while it's selected, you can go to your W's menu, and you can choose Shade Smooth from there. And right here, I can choose this one, L select it, W, and shade smooth, and you can see that it's shaded smooth. Looks a lot nicer. So the reason that I'm doing this way, this little tube here instead of the curves, is kind of the whole theme of the ship here is I'm staying away from subsurfacing for the most part. I am using just strictly polygon modeling, which is going to save, you know, tons of geometry, and it'll render better, faster. You can animate faster and all that good stuff. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to be packing a lot of stuff in this ship. I'm going to be doing the interior and details and all that. So we'll probably still end up with a lot of faces, a lot of geometry, but this will help keep this geometry down. So you can do anything that you that your creativity drives you to do with these tubing. So what I was thinking about doing, 7 top view, and while I have vertex mode selected, I'm going to B box select this. Oops. B box select just those, and basically I just want to like extrude, and I want to come over here and kind of rotate as I'm going, so it doesn't all get all kind of wanky. Oops. R rotate, extrude, and kind of hard to see what I'm doing here, but I can do 7 top view, choose Z so we can see a little bit better. Choose this one and extrude, rotate, extrude, rotate, and you'll notice that a lot of times when I do this, I'm switching to my strict axes, like in this case I'm on my top view. So when you do that, you don't have to worry about the Z axis being manipulated at all. So I'm only manipulating the Y and X here, and that's the reason that I changed these axes views like that, so I don't screw up my other views. Because I don't know, I'm not really explaining it very well, but if like say if I was like this and I'm starting to extrude something, it's going to, and then I rotate it, it's going to change this, manipulate this object in all these different views, you know, X, Y, and Z, and you're going to end up with something kind of weird, and it can cause you problems sometimes. So that's really all I'm saying there. So just extrude, and didn't really need extrude there, but extrude, come out here, rotate, extrude, here, rotate, extrude, rotate, extrude, rotate. I'm going to come back over here to go into this object if it's fitting into it. Okay. So, oops, somehow I missed some vertices there. So Control Z. Why is my oh, that was at the beginning. Okay. Control Shift Z, redo. Still missing a piece there, I guess. So, was that at the, yeah, that was at the beginning. I don't know how I did that. Somehow I did not pick up all my verts there, so no big deal. Go 7 top view. I guess it's probably the easiest way to do this. X delete vertices. Not sure what I did there. Like I said, can't really talk and do this at the same time sometimes. Okay, so go ahead and finish this part off before I tell you what I'm going to do with this thing. 7 Z extrude, rotate it. Let's bring this closer. Extrude. All right. I don't really like this one here. It's kind of rough. Maybe something like that. Z. And it is looking like that. Now, of course, when you're close up, you can see the geometry. Actually, I think that still needs, because we created that new geometry, it needs to be smooth. So I'm going to L select the whole thing, W, and shade smooth. Okay, well, I guess it is kind of shaded. Oh man, still missed some vertices. Okay, anyway, we'll pretend I fixed that. We know how to fix that. So what I'm doing here is making this tubing, and the idea is that, you know, your beauty shots of the ship or whatever you're going to do with it, it's going to be kind of far away. You're not going to be able to see these little, you know, these lines. So you can get away with using something like this that is going to save you a ton of geometry, rather than using something that is subsurfed, or in the case of curve, something that is just, you know, going crazy with adding geometry. So then what you can do, I mean, you can add more tubes any way you want to, or you can choose one front view, and I'm just going to put my 3D cursor right here and grab this. Yeah. I'll select it, and I don't think I can do this in edit mode. Pretty sure I can't. So very easily just choose P, separate by selection, make it its own part, go back in object mode and select it. Go into Z view so we can see what we're doing. And if you wanted to, you can take this and just Shift D, duplicate it and rotate it. You know, put one over here. That's not like rotating the way I would like it to, but wow. Why is that? Oh, because I don't have the center of this piece right here. I needed it to be like right there. Let's see, one. That's closer, I guess. So anyway, Shift D, R rotate. Yeah, still off. But you get the idea. You can kind of rotate them around your object if you want to. You can do something like that. Or what I am planning on doing is I'm going to create smaller tubes that are going in different ways, and maybe even a little cylinder object here that, you know, looks like it's doing something. Anyway, try to make it, you know, somewhat like something mechanical is going on there, like some kind of engine. I mean, this is, after all, some kind of thruster. I mean, in this case, it's sort of like, you know, it's not an ion engine. Maybe it should be, but this is more almost like still in the rocket fuel days. But I'm going to do that. And then I think I want to also, like I was talking about, select this, choose face view, come in here, and let's see. I'm just going to do an I extrude, scale this down a little bit, and then SX, scale along the X, delete faces, open that up, and have that piece close there, but that's okay. Let's see. I can either extrude or I can just delete it. Let's see what it looks like. Nope. I don't like it. I'm being too much of a perfectionist, I know, but what I'm going to do is I extrude, SX scale on there, and X delete those faces. I'm not sure that I still like it, but I actually may put some stuff in here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. But anyway, so I mean, if you got this far, then you know enough about modeling on how to create this kind of stuff. So I mean, I'm going to leave it to you and your creativity to come up with whatever you like to make your thruster engine. And in the next video, before we go on to our next topic, I'll go over the thrusters and I'll show you what I ended up doing. And, you know, if it's something that interests you that you may want to do to yours, then, you know, if it gives you ideas, then that's great. But it's always nice to, you know, fall back on your creativity and make it the way you want it. So I would say, you know, just have fun with it. That's what it's all about. So now, since we did all this in edit mode, if we tab back into object mode, and I'm going to do a control up arrow, and I'm going to turn the mirror back on. You can see we have everything mirrored that we did. And of course, also we need to choose M and move it back to our main layer. Go back to our main layer, and now we have a little bit more to the ship. And I noticed I haven't saved my blend file, so let me go ahead and do that. File save as. Hopefully I didn't save over my 7, but not a big deal in this case. Save as version 8. Control up arrow, and I'm going to do an F12 render. So there we are so far. You can see we got a little bit more detail here, and we definitely, like I said, you know, put a lot more detail on the thruster part of it. And then what we're going to do in the next part of the tutorial, part 9, is I'm going to be creating these braces or whatever you want to call it that hold these on. Probably also be working with the docking port on the back and anything else that we might have time to, as far as those details to deal with. And just a quick comment here before I go. This front port window, windshield, whatever you want to call it. You know, when I first did this, I'm thinking, you know, that is a lot of glass to be, you know, to be exposed, to be flying through space, and then, you know, be hit by some micrometeor or something that slices through it and kills everybody. But then, you know, you think also that on the International Space Station, they actually have this thing that's called a gondola, which you sit in this gondola and you can have this nice, almost panoramic view of the Earth or whatever you're looking at out there. So, you know, if we can do that now with the International Space Station, and it's considered safe enough to do something like that, I would hope that in the future we have some kind of material that, you know, we can be confident that it protects us while we're flying through space. So anyway, that's just my bizarre comment for that. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.